and Rondal Mason. And Anthony Thompson, Rich, interesting in how he got here.
Yeah, Anthony Thompson is a kid who is 18 years old. He attends Temple University. And is a guy who's had an interesting background because he's already had great success. He was a U.S. champion at 139 pounds a year ago and a bronze medalist in the Olympic trials this year.
And he'll be looking across the ring at 20-year-old Rondal Mason, looking to build a solid amateur career, following in his father's and uncle's footsteps. Mason promises to attack underneath, and you know what? He's got some terrific experience. 110 wins, only 16 losses.
Should be an interesting matchup, I think, at 147. Let's take a look at the numbers between these two. Thompson, a part of the WCAP, the World Class Athlete Program, sponsored by the Air Force. 5'11" at 147 pounds, 2 years younger is Thompson than Mason, and an 1.5 inch reach advantage for Mason out of Fort Carson, Colorado. Here's the rules in the Golden Gloves. 5 judges will score the bout. 20-point must system. The judges must decide a winner if they split votes. Boxer is disqualified if he's knocked out 3 times in a round, knocked out 4 times in a bout, and the fight is over. Round 1, 2-minute rounds, incidentally. 4 2-minute rounds.
And look how they go right to work. Terrific job by both fighters. That's experience talking.
The shorter rounds, I do believe, at least from what we've been able to judge from so far tonight, may mean for more brisk action. It's only 2 minutes of boxing, then the fighters get that blow for a minute right after that, and it enables them to go real hard for good 4 rounds.
Boy, wild swinging left hook. Nice job of Anthony Thompson going underneath it. Thompson says in the ring, I've got my own style. Strong, tall, more of a pro style, he says. That's Thompson in the yellow shirt.
These guys very similar in style, actually.
Yeah, both long and lanky, too. 5'11" for Thompson, 5'10". Mason. There's Thompson on the attack. Thompson doing a nice job of getting down when it takes a low blow.
He caught one that was definitely a little south of the border there, and he felt it, and that meant that Rondal Mason drew a warning for it.
A good right hand by Thompson. Knocked Mason backwards.
Thompson, prior to the fight, came over, leaned over the ropes, leaned down, and yelled at us, I'm going to do my best.
That's all you can ask.
And all these kids tonight have really done a fine job. They're all trying to do their best.
Thompson's knocked Mason sideways and backwards here in this first round.
Well, he's very rangy, Barry, and he gets in and out quickly. He likes to, even though he stays at long range, he kind of pops from long range and then backs off a little bit and doesn't give Mason much to shoot at anymore.
One thing, though, that no matter how hard you hit an opponent, it's still only a punch. And so you can't be dissuaded by the fact that it's just one punch and not necessarily hard, soft, or anywhere in between.
Try to discourage knockouts here at the Golden Gloves Championships.
The fight, as Barry mentioned, was being judged by 5 new judges, but not the computer system that is so controversial in Olympic Games scoring.
In the corner of Anthony Thompson.
Pick up the pace. Give me more angles. Let your hands go. When you're on the inside, you're not throwing any body shots. Make him stop punching. He wants to throw all wide movement stuff. Hit him hard in the body. Make him stop punching. And then turn.
Ronald Jackson wants him to go downstairs to the body.
You're letting him slow this thing down.
Well, one man went to the body in this round, and it was Rondal Mason, except that he went low when he went to the body. Watch the left hook there. You see, there's no question about that being a low blow.
Fine job, Dan Rivera, the referee.
His hands up, okay? Doing good. Wrap it up. Step around, though, after each combination. Beep, step, okay? Good job. Keep your hands up. Left hand up.
Basher Abdullah wants his man to get the angle on his opponent, step around, and then score. Nice work from Abdullah. Rondal Mason.
Target's down. Let's go.
He says he is a boxer puncher in the ring. There's a look at Anthony Thompson. They call him the answer. He says one of his coaches, earlier coaches, Nazim Richards, gave him that name. He says, because I got the answer. Every time my opponent scores, I answer to something.
I thought he had a very good first round, Dick Thompson.
Very good. Thompson got into boxing when he was 9 years old. He started with David Reed.
He actually was in his first tournament at age 10. But interestingly enough, he had to be 12 to be in the tournament. So the gym that he was at just lied about his age. They said he was 12. He was really 10. And he got to the championships at 85 pounds.
People do not lie about their age.
I know that.
Are you kidding? 21-year-old Barry Tompkins and 20-year-old Rick Ferrata. Oh, look at that. Good work. Look at those punches on the outside.
You know, Mason was doing a nice job as he was falling back and moving backwards of landing strong power punches, especially to the body.
Oh, you see it in both of these fighters. They really want to win this championship. Oh, good. Downstairs work. They have asked, you got to keep the punches up. They have asked Rondal Mason, go downstairs, work the body, try to slow him down.
He's got to be careful now not to have a point taken away from him. He's had 2 low blows.
There was a second caution from the referee. Usually another caution will lead to an official warning, and then 3 warnings lead to a disqualification of the fighter.
And this is a very close fight. I don't think either fighter can afford to lose a point right now.
Wow, that was a whistling right hand by Thompson. Much more representative round from Mason, though, here in round number 2. Strong power punches from him, Barry. He's gotten more into the fight in this round.
Very close, and he dropped it with a big shot. Clean knockdown.
Straight right hand. Couldn't be landed any better.
6, 7, 8.
That was a major league right cross.
Right on the button. Thompson right on it. And hit him with another good right hand at the bell.
Major league right hand by Thompson to score the first knockdown of the round. Keep in mind, however, that is no more scoring than any light left jab that lands, as long as it lands cleanly.
He's coming along beautiful. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Watch this right hand here of Anthony Thompson. You saw it, the scorching right hand that put Rondal Mason down. Here it is again. Watch the right. No doubt about it. It's a one-punch knockdown. Clean. He launches it right from the shoulder. Excellent.
Big power. Look at that. Anthony Tompkins. He says his best punch is the left hook, but that was a right hand.
Give me mouthpiece. Come on, give me.
That was a great shot. But again, and Rich said this, but it can't be pointed out too many times. In the great scheme of things, that's still only one punch.
It is. However, you know what you can do to your opponent mentally, and he knows it too.
And of course, it may set Thompson up for further heroics down the line because he has hurt his opponent, even though it doesn't score that particular punch anymore in the amateur ranks than any other punch.
Now, I'm not sure that won the round for him either. It's a very close round.
Personally, I prefer the scoring system that we're seeing here tonight. 5 judges scoring in a 20-point system rather than that weird, goofy Olympic Games computer scoring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thompson was trying to drop that right hand on. You see Thompson landing fewer punches, but he landed one big one.
Yeah, here at the National Golden Gloves Association, they really want to try to get the fans involved and do what the fans want them to do. And the fans, told them we don't want that computer scoring. Also, the boxers don't want it.
Another right hand got Mason going sideways again.
Who are you blaming on? The computer? Hey, none of that pulling behind the head. And keep your punches up. Dan Rivera, the referee, keeping an eye on this one. I'll tell you, not as much officiating here in the Golden Gloves either as we've seen in Olympic boxing.
I really believe, going back to the computer scoring system, that one person cannot watch 2 people in the ring and score the fight on the computer.
Same way, yeah. You're right. Well, that's why it's so controversial and so confusing.
You take a look at Mason, you'd never believe that his favorite boxer is Pernell Whitaker.
I know.
He says, yeah, Pernell Whitaker, I don't fight like anything like him. I just wish I had some.
Oh, that's exactly what he said.
Very nice. Amiable fellow, Rondal Mason.
He also talked about the first time he went into the ring. He said he was 8 years old. He said his dad put him in the gym, and they made him spar. And he said, you know what I did? I quit.
Didn't stay going long enough, though. Not long enough for Anthony Thompson.
Good body work by Mason, and another excellent round. We're coming back.
You think football is
Real close match like this, that you come out of that final round and you've got to reach down inside of you and find out what you're made of. You got to show your heart.
Well, Anthony Thompson, I'm impressed with him, not just as a boxer, but as a person. You know, he made a very mature statement, I thought. He said, boxing is a part of my life. It's not my whole life. And he said his main job and goal in life is to serve the Creator and take care of his family. He's got a 1-year-old son, and he's got another child on the way.
But he says as a girl, he's very proud of that, very happy about that. Says his brother, Tyon, has been his motivator. He said he's helped him through life. Both fighters got there that time.
Wow, look at this action. This is the 4th round. They're keeping up the pace.
Thompson bleeding from the nose now. Mason has landed with a number of good scoring blows himself. Maybe not as dramatic as that one that Thompson felled him with, but he's been right in there, right in this fight.
Absolutely. I really believe, Rich, this fight could still be decided in the last 45 seconds.
Sure, much different than a professional fight. They would have judged more for that knockdown.
Exactly.
Wow. Thompson, look at that. Oh, coming on toward the end of the fight. Nice job from Thompson.
Let me tell you, that right hand of Anthony Thompson gets there in a hurry.
Very straight, very effective.
Sneaky right hand, and it is on the inside.
Thompson now just staying out of harm's way, not fighting right now. Maybe
he's got it won.
He might feel like that 4-punch flurry might have been enough.
Well, I don't know. You might want to talk about Oscar De La Hoya about that strategy.
That's true.
Final seconds of this fight. Thompson thinks he's won it.
Yes, he does. And we'll find out. I think he probably did, but I think it's a very close fight. First fight since we've been sitting here tonight that I really don't know who won it. We'll come back. We'll all find out together. Fight at 147 pounds. Let's look back, Rich.
All right, we saw in the very first round, we saw the effectiveness of the Thompson right hand. You see that straight right in the second round? He made it really pay off for him. Straight right hand upcoming now. There it is. Boom. Scorching right. Down goes Rondal Mason. But in the third round, Mason was on the attack, landing vicious body blows, landing hard, powerful, meaty shots. And then in the fourth, Anthony Thompson again using his right hand to make Rondal Mason give way. Very, very good fight. What our friends in Europe would call a real cracker of a fight.
It certainly was. Let's see who won this cracker. Here's Thomas Stryper. Tom?
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2000 Golden Gloves national champion for the 147-pound division is out of the red corner, representing the Pennsylvania franchise, Anthony Thompson.
We talked about his faith, and he had to have faith tonight. He wins it at 147 pounds against a very game Rondal Mason. Sean O'Grady with the winner. Sean.
Thanks, Barry. They call him the answer, and you certainly had the answers tonight. What does this feel like to be a champion?
You know, I'm not really surprised. Like I said, the Creator's starting to bless me, and now I'm starting to come into my own where I get caught with shots. I don't panic anymore. I know I'm going to get them back, keeping my poise. And
you know what, though? Tonight, Anthony, you knocked your opponent down. What was going through your mind when you hit the canvas?
Patience, understanding, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's what gets you over today. That's why you're where you at now, because you know how to talk.
Well, yeah, and you got the patience, too. And I like this young kid. He is going to go a long way. He gets the championship tonight, National Golden Gloves Championship, Anthony Thompson.
I just like to say, Toda to the Creator, which in Hebrew means thank you, Creator.
All right, that's it. I couldn't have said it better. Back over to you, Barry.
All right, thanks very much, Sean. He won the U.S. Championships at 139 pounds last year, bronze medal in the Olympic trials. He wins the gold.